You're listening to the 9 to 5 Job Search Podcast, where you'll hear discussions about the ins and outs of corporate culture, careers, and how to achieve a healthy work-life balance. Your hosts, Eric Gershey and Paul Kannengeiser, have over 60 years of experience in management, sales, and leadership. They'll be sharing their views ranging from conventional to controversial and interviewing thought leaders who are experts in their fields from industries across the board. Guest speakers will provide our listeners with powerful insights and topics that relate to businesses of all sizes. Now, here are your hosts, Eric and Paul.
Hey folks, I'm Eric.
And I'm Paul.
And every week we discuss topics related to careers, corporate culture, and how to achieve a healthy work-life balance. What's the topic today, Paul?
Hey, Eric, let's grab our drinks, kick back with our friends, and talk about what is scaling and how it can shape you and your company's future.
That's really interesting. Why'd you pick this?
Well, Eric, we have a special guest on today. Her name is Jolene Demeyer. She is the co-founder of Gelu, co-founder of Marketing Scalers. She's an expert in scaling up, growth marketing, and thinking big.
Good morning, Jolene. Thank you for joining the show. Our listeners have been asking questions about scaling business. And to all our listeners out there, this is your opportunity.
Morning. Thank you guys for having me here.
We're really happy to have you. Let's get started. First question, what does scaling your business mean? And is there a formula? What's the formula?
So for me, scaling is really all about ability to grow exponentially without being hampered. So that is what it's all about. And there's no secret formula, right?
Well, listen, Jolene, explain to our listeners the difference between scaling and growing. Also, is there a right time to start scaling?
So let's start with the first one, right? So what is the difference between scaling and growing? And to me, growing really means, you have an department or the entire business that adds new resources. Think about capital, people, technology, and your revenue will increases as well. So for instance, take the example that your marketing department will gain 50K in new revenue, but for at the same time, they also need to put 2-3 months ago, they had to hire a new person as well for 40 or 50K. So in the beginning, your gains and loss are more or less equalized, definitely at the beginning. And scaling, on the other hand, really means, your revenue really increases with a substantial increase and without the substantial increase in expenditure. So for instance, take as well the example, you spend 5K in a marketing automation tool and you will gain 50K in your revenue. So your answer on your first question, what is the difference between scaling and growing? That is how, there's the differences. And as well, the second one you were asking me, is there a right time to start scaling? I wished, but overall, again, there's no magic formula. There are, of course, many things you should have figured out before you decide to take that scaling step. But scaling is really about using rapid growth strategies to really add new customers and really start to grow your revenue. And it really depends on two factors. So capability and capacity. So you really need to ask yourself as a business leader, is your business capable enough to grow? And does it have the capacity to accommodate that growth? And overall, I always say, start scaling with the 4 scaling is like, I would call it after the 4 Ps. I think everybody know Kotler with the famous 4 Ps. So, do it after those 4 Ps. What is your price? What is your promotion? What is your product? And what's the place you want to target to? And then go to my 4 scaling S's.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Jolene. I'm just not sure what Kotler's 4 Ps are. Can you just tell us about the 4 S's, the 4 Ps, in scaling your company?
Yeah, so Kotler, he's the big marketing guru, and he invented the 4 Ps. It's what is the price that you want to set to your product? What is your product? What is the place? What is your target audience you want to focus on? Do you get any promotion to keep you going? And it's really all about that product market fit. So you really need to have your product market that fit right to even start thinking about the 4 S's. And And my four S's, I would call it, it's about strategy. Where do you want to go, and are you capable to grow your business? You look at the systems, scalable systems. Do you have the capabilities to really to handle the growth? So you really, start scaling. Do you have the systems, the technology in place to keep you going? It's about that scalar mindset, I would call it. And that scalar mindset is for me really having the desire to grow. And a scalar is for me, it's a scalar plus an entrepreneur at the same time. And you really want to understand and what scaling is about. And the last one is success panel. So it's really the dashboard where you really track your main KPIs and start to understand your ROMI. So what is your return on marketing investment?
Huh. That's pretty interesting. Tell us more about the scalar mindset, though, and why it's an important ingredient in building your company.
So so the scalar mindset, I must say, it is indeed, it's like an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, it's more that French accent. So but that scalar mindset is really the difficult aspects in keep you going. And a scalar is the combination of a scalar plus an entrepreneur who really has the desire to scale their company. Because overall, scaling and doing business, it is a roller coaster ride for every business person. So you really have to be set for that ride, and you really need to have the right mindset to keep going.
So I guess my next question is, what constitutes a negative mindset, and how do you fix that?
So a negative mindset, I would say it's a little bit harder, right? So I would rather call it a fixed mindset. And if I think about 3 examples of such a fixed mindset, I would say, it is being set in your comfort zone. You want to grow, but at the same time, you don't want to take any risk. Another example would, for instance, be not letting go or not delegating. You rather take the full ownership because, you rather say, I rather do it myself because I don't trust anyone. I can do it better. And a third example, for instance, would be, not willing to do what is required. Like you need to lay off people because they're not having the right cultural fit with you. So you need to lay them off.
Well, in contrast to that, Jolene, so what's a good scalar mindset?
Yeah, I would say, of course, it's always the opposite, right? But to be more concrete, let me go for 3 examples again. And it's the first one would be is be optimistic, but also be realistic at the same time. It's about celebrating small successes and really don't allow it to have a kind of negativity to last in your mind. Really be positive and realistic. The second one I would say is, understand what is your worst case scenario. And also, if that would happen, can you live with that? Are you comfortable living with that worst case scenario? And another one is also being, I think it's obvious, right? It's really be open-minded, try new stuff, look at the new possibilities, and really failure is seen as a learning. So that is really what a good scalar mindset is all about.
Let's shift gears here. What are the things that you look for when creating a great team? How do you know when you have one?
Yeah, so before I would say, look at your team, or before starting to scale up your business, you really need to scale up yourself. And in order to scale up yourself, you really need to understand yourself first. And this is where energy management really comes in. And energy management is about the hidden key to getting things done. It's a combination of physically, emotionally, how do you feel at a certain moment, and mental energy. Think about questions, what drives you? What are your ambitions? How do you recharge? What is going on in your brain? What drives you? What gives you energy, and so on. And really, get a grip on who you are, where do you want to go in life, and then start with finding your team, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
It does. So basically, Jolene, at that point, and like once you're set with your mindset and so forth, can you find your team? And how do you pick your team? As Erica just stated, like what, do you pick those like with like-minded attributes or those that can bring different philosophies, but with the same goals in mind?
Yeah. So yeah, good question for sure. So in the beginning, researchers will be very limited, right? So it is very important to employ the right people with the right skill sets to really keep going very successfully. And first of all, I always like to look at, look at your own current workload and responsibilities, what drives you, what gives you positive energy, what gives you negative energy. And the negative energy is for somebody else, it can be a very positive part. So find those people, find your complementarity people, and keep on going. And then as well, look at your current team. First you look at yourself, then you look at your current team, and you look at their strengths, their expertise, and really start seeing, do you have any gaps in your roles? Do you know if they're all like-minded? That is good, but diversity, of course, will definitely bring you an extra added value in here. So, but overall, your team and you must have the same value, you must have the same common team goal, regardless who they are, the people, but they have to be that scalar mindset, being driven and having that energy to keep on going. And the thing is, what I always see, once employees feel valued, they are very passionately, and they will share the vision of your company, and then they will dig deep within themselves to really help your business drive. And once you surround yourself with all these best people, you can and give them an opportunity to do what they love and to do, so that they will excel. Because I'm a big believer, like when employees feel valued, they will become emotionally invested and they will want to contribute to the success to your company. And I think I already mentioned it, right? So scaling is really that roller coaster. You really have to have the right mindset for this kind of rides. So an important team and a great team is really, the way, to go.
That is really insightful. And I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and expertise, Jolene. It's been a pleasure to have you on our show. I mean, you really brought home some very good facts, some great content. I hope our listeners out there really enjoyed what they heard. And I think it was definitely worth sharing. And again, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Jolene, that was amazing. I took like 3 pages of notes. but before we finish the episode, Jolene, how can our listeners reach you? How can they find you? Social media handles, website?
Yeah, so you have marketingscalers.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well, just my name, Jolien de Meyer. Of course, it will probably be hard to find, but just go for marketingscalers.com and then they will definitely find me.
Okay. And Paul, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with?
Excuse me. Yes, I have a quote from Edward Everett Hale. He said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." Think about it. So if everyone would like to find out about strategic alliances, partnerships, advertising on our website, 9 to 5 Job Search Site and Community, or 9 to 5 Job Search Podcast, please email me at sales@9to5jobsearch.com. That's NINE, the number 2, FIVE. I want to thank everyone for turning us on and tuning us in. Have a great week, everyone.